can move to each of the other candidates in order and ask them to participate in either a challenge or an addition to or a correction of any responses that have been given by the others. When we get to the second question, I will allow the second candidate to respond firstly, and we will move through the 5 questions in this way. Hopefully we will have good and full disclosure and a delightful argument as to the responses that are given tonight to these questions. So the first question, as you see, is what would you do to attract business and development to the city of Greater Sudbury? And candidate number 1, Mark Signoretti, would you care to answer and provide a response to that, please?
Thank you for the question. This question is very important. I've been a resident here all my life, and I know I want to see growth. So how do we get growth in our community? Well, you know what? We need to cut out the red tape at City Hall. How do we do this? Is we got to make it easy for businesses, for developers to come to our community and make it grow. And the way to do that is have to have one-stop shopping, where people and businesses, when they come, they don't have to get bounced around from department to department to department, or check out this website, or I don't know. They need answers. We want to make it easy for people. How do we do that? We have one-stop shopping. So when someone asks how to bring a business to our community, they go to see one person. That's what we need to do. We need to make it easier for people. We also need to make it easier for developers. We need to allow the developers to build. We want to make it that they build good things in our community, not just anything, within the restrictions and where it belongs in our community. So places that are zoned for residential housing should have residential housing. Places that are zoned for commercial should have commercial. So that's what I would do, and that's my answer to this question. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Chris, would you care to comment and provide an answer to that question, please?
First of all, I believe you have to set a business-friendly climate. What that means is you have to go all across Ontario, Canada, and the world and attract business to Sudbury. I think you have to ensure when business comes to Sudbury, they're not bogged down in red tape. We want to be able to move forward. We want to be able to move forward quickly. I believe every industry is an industry worth pursuing, whether it be the aerospace industry, the mining industry, whether it be the entertainment industry. Everything is important to the people of Sudbury. Everything can help diversify the economy of Sudbury. And we have to go out, and we have to be attractive, and we have to make it reasonable, and we have to be affordable, because if we do that, at the end of the day, people come, jobs are created, homes are bought, and our community and city thrive. Let's talk locally and a little closer to home about development for a second. We all need to realize that development charges are passed on to the end user. That's you and I. That's the young homeowner. That's the person who just got married and is buying a house for the first time. The development charge is passed on to us. I believe there should be a fair development charge. Developers are not opposed to development charges. What they are opposed to are development charges that are out of proportion to the reality of the community. And therefore, I'm suggesting we look at development charges and we make them more affordable. We all benefit when we make it easier and attractive. More jobs and more homes mean more taxes. It's a win-win if we do it right. Thank you.
Dennis, would you care to add, to provide a response, please?
To attract business to the city, first of all, like everybody's well aware of, is development charges are extraordinary. I was at a Sudbury Home Builders Association meeting the other day, and they have this chart, flow chart, of what it takes for a developer just from the beginning to the end just to develop some land that he wants to purchase. It was mind-boggling, all the arrows and turnaround whatsoever, that for me, looking at that, I'd be discouraged. Okay. Also, okay, when somebody comes to town, from out of town, they don't know our city where we work, we should have an open door policy. Not make them wait in the lobby for 6 hours or something. The mayor's door should be open at all times. And if they are serious about developing here, assign a person, bring that developer around, okay, and put him through the process, okay, so that he is not totally confused by what we're doing here, and try and guide him the right way so his process is a lot faster. I know that the Sudbury, old Sudbury General Hospital, the developer there said it took 4 years before you even put a shovel in the ground to get started. Okay, this is way too long. They're wasting a lot of money on that type of structure that we have here in the city, so that has to change. And development charges should be put on a moratorium for houses that are going up another 16% in the next 4 years. Okay, from $14,785, I think, to something like $18,000, and that's plus GST once you purchase a home. Okay, so those are my views on attracting business. Thank you.
Any Dennis?
Oh.
You have to say? Your response?
The first step in attracting business and development to our city is to ensure that the perception that our city is not open for business is corrected. In creating an environment at City Hall that we will be more responsive and more user-friendly. Once we have accomplished this, we must then vigorously pursue opportunities to bring new business and development into the city. We can do this through our Sudbury Development Corporation, who have a fair number of very talented people, and we have to give them the opportunity to go into the business world and into the province and bring these businesses and these opportunities back to Sudbury. We need to make sure that we are open for business and insist that our city is engaged in doing things that we can assist new business opportunities. We have to make sure this is in place before we go out and let our people do their job. And we need to concentrate on projects that have real value for the city and can provide long-term growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Matthew, would you provide your response?
Well, right now development charges are around $14,000 for a single family home. In Brampton, they're $26,000. I don't think anybody here is going to say that Brampton is lacking for growth. I don't think the problem is simply saying red tape or development charges, we need to bring more business. What we need to do is focus exactly on what will help us grow. Because right now, the biggest employer in the city isn't mine. It's not even close. The biggest employer is retail, then it's municipal and government institutions, education, and the hospital. And where's the focus on bringing more of that? In fact, the Canada Revenue Agency is cutting. The federal government shut down the Department of Fisheries and Oceans in the South End. We are losing people, and we need to reverse that. We need to focus on bringing not just jobs or mining jobs, but bringing technology here, making it so that new startups here can work with the city in a meaningful way to navigate through all the different forms of funding and the different regulations so they can set up and base themselves here in Sudbury. We need a road system and an infrastructure system that can support that kind of growth. That isn't an embarrassment, that doesn't make the news for how bad it is, but it's done in a proper way so that we don't have businesses like the businesses on Regent Street that are seeing 20 to 30% losses for the summer because of a project that's being dragged out. That is what we need, that is what I'm willing to bring, and I'm not just going to talk about vague terms, I'm going to do it. Thank you.
how do we attract new business and development to Sudbury? I have a simple answer. Make Sudbury simply a really great place to live. Maybe that's not so simple. The point is that when economic development experts and economists, entrepreneurs, innovators who have created new employment industries and new employment sectors in a community are asked, what brought you to this community? They don't talk about tax cuts. They don't talk about low development charges. They talk about the amenities that each of us use every day and that they want their employees to be able to benefit from. So if we focus on making Sudbury simply a great city to live in and a great city to raise a family in, that's going to attract employers and employees that we wouldn't otherwise have. We have, of course, our amazing natural features and amenities surrounding the city, but I think we're all very familiar with the condition of our roads, our parks, our downtown urban places, and public spaces. And when you put photos of those next to the photos of our lakes and forests and our trails, there's a disconnect there. So I think we need to focus on that. Work with the communities to discover, what would it take to get you to mention to your sons or daughters who go to university somewhere else to come back to Sudbury and say, you should see what they've done in the neighborhood lately. One of the other aspects, it's something that I talk about a little bit in my platform that I released this weekend, is something called economic gardening, which is a way of nurturing the existing small and medium businesses. This is another thing that new employers are looking for. They're looking for a dynamic, active, existing business climate. And so if we can provide the resources that allow small and medium-sized businesses to expand and get into that next tier of development, that will attract new business as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Thank you. It is important to attract new business, both small and large. Once elected, I would work very closely with all levels of government to help our council and our city implement initiatives that would benefit our small businesses, in particular because they are by far the largest creator of new jobs in our region. We as a council must show that the city is open for business. Thank you.
So, is there anyone who, from this group, would care to add to their response, challenge anything that has been delivered, or provide some additional information? We'll move on to the next question, and we'll start that question with Mr. Spry. And the question is, based on the services that are currently provided, what are the strategies you would implement to increase the value of our tax dollar? Chris, why don't you start us off?
That's a great question, but I don't want to answer that question just from my perspective. I want to answer it from the point of view of the 2,000 plus houses and homeowners I've visited so far. Overwhelmingly, what they've told me is that they want better snow removal. They tell me they want better roads. They tell me they want more affordable taxes. So I want to combine all three into one and maximize the opportunity for minimal dollars. That doesn't mean horrendously high tax increases. What that means is we're going to make better uses of what we already have. During the winter, let's talk about the winter for a second. It hasn't hit yet, but the old Farmer's Almanac that we all love and trust says it's going to be a very severe winter. In fact, it's going to be the Tyrannosaurus Rex of all winters this winter. So we have to make sure we plan for that accordingly so that our snow removal and snow plowing is done in a very consistent, affordable, logical, and safe way. Let me emphasize safe, because that's what everyone has been telling me as I've gone from house to house to house. They don't expect that the snow is going to be totally removed, but what they do want to see is more consistent plowing so they are able to see when they are getting out of their driveway. and they're able to see when they're pulling up to an intersection. That can happen if in fact we do a more consistent job of snow removal. I want to talk about the state of our roads, because everyone I've talked to has been telling me that our roads must be improved. We have to ensure that there is some type of solution to past practices, like paving a road and then digging it up because we have to replace a pipe. I think we have to have a plan for our infrastructure repair more efficiently. I think that we have to plan our road and repair and road construction more efficiently. I believe that the dollars are there. I just think that we have to make maximum use of those dollars. So using our dollars more wisely and getting the most potential for minimal dollars. That's what we should do to have to pay for these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Dennis?
Currently where I'm employed, I work for the taxpayer as well in the school board, and we have to justify our spending because we get audited every year whatsoever. So every year we get together with our group and all the different departments, and we set strategies for that year, okay? Goals set and how to improve. As you all well know, our school boards are not overly funded. People think the school boards have a lot of money, but we don't. So we have to, every year, we get cut back, So we come up with a plan and 1 or 2 goals every year in every single department, and we try to achieve those goals. I think the city should do the same thing, because right now it seems like the bureaucracy is, they're running it, their problem. They spend the money they want to without our input, okay? Things shouldn't work that way. They should be audited as closely as we are, because some of the waste that's going on just doesn't make any sense to us. We all see it, okay, people, that's why we're getting such big turnouts this year as councillors, because everybody wants to change, and the people want to change. So, being in that position already, I think I could help bring to the table every single department that the city works for. They work for us. We don't work for them, okay? They're providing us a service, okay? And we need to expect our tax dollars to go to a proper service. When you see people standing around, everybody's always questioning, how come there's 10 guys standing on one hole, each a shovel, nobody doing the work? Okay? So everybody has to set some goals, okay, in every single department, so that we can get the best value for our buck. Thank you.
Paul?
We have to ensure that we're getting value for our tax dollar. We have to apply the highest standards and accept nothing less from our contractors and service providers. We must insist that the product delivered is what we paid for. We have to strengthen the language in all our contracts issued by the city to guarantee that all service providers deliver what is expected from them and will go along to ensuring our saving that money. The road planning has to be done in such a way as that, that we ensure that the infrastructure of the sewers and waters that are under the roads are up to standard before we bring the paving and the roads into place. We have to make sure that we don't repeat the recent fiasco that we've gone through with the animal control contract by making sure that we're doing the things that we should be doing in the right way. Matthew number 1.
Well, who's happy with what they did with Southview? Anybody? That's what I thought. The thing is that if we want to get a better value for our tax dollar, we have to plan ahead for things. We don't need to figure out halfway through, or after having put in a bunch of traffic calming measures, that suddenly we should take them out. It shouldn't have taken 2 or 3 tries to figure out that you need a 4-way stop on Yale and Bouchard. Those are the kind of things that I think we should do for the city in order to help get a better value for your tax dollar. Measuring twice and cutting once isn't just a saying. It means saving down the line and catching what can be very big, expensive mistakes in planning. And that's what I want to bring to the city. I want to bring that to council, I want to bring that to committees, ensuring that the work's done first, right the first time, and that we're not wasting our money doing shave and paves or switching up the way the road's done when we don't know what we're trying to do. So that's the first thing. The second thing is healthy community initiative funds. Now, I don't think they should go away because, let's face it, at a ward level, there are things that need our money. Dalkey Dozy could probably use some work, you know, and a local park isn't going to really resonate with the rest of the city when it's not in their ward. What I do believe, though, is that that money should be accountable to you. And that's why I propose, if I'm elected, that we would have that money voted on as a participatory budget measure. And so you'd be given the option of choosing what you wanted done, and every cent would be accounted for and easily available online. So all the receipts, all the work, all the updates, everything. And that is what I'm bringing to help get a better value for your tax dollar. Thank you.
Well, participatory budgeting is a great idea. I wrote about that in May when I announced my candidacy. It's a process whereby different groups would come forward with their proposals for projects in the community, just as they do with the Healthy Communities Initiative Fund now. And they bring that to the community, and the community votes on it. You can read about it in the Sudbury Star. There was a short article about my proposal for that when I announced my candidacy. But getting value for your dollar, you think about business, and you think about running the city like a business. There's going to be a lot of talk about cutting back on services that are nice to haves instead of need to haves or gotta haves. I haven't really seen a business that was failing succeed by reducing the number of customers that they serve or the number of services that they provide or cutting back business hours. So when we're talking about arenas, community halls, pools, other services that are revenue generators, we need to look at strategies to increase the number of users there. What would it take for more people to use the community halls? Maybe a website that actually says what facilities are available at those community halls. Maybe a way of booking those halls online, or simply just an email address, so you don't have to worry about calling during business hours only in order to use them. Transit. Transit is a big deal for me. I take the bus just about everywhere, and there are routes in the city that are running half empty or they're underused. And you could cut those routes, but you'd be losing customers and you'd be losing revenue as a result. So we need strategies to grow transit ridership in the city. What would it take to make you, not make you take the bus, what would it take to make you want to take the bus? How much easier would it have to be to get on the bus, to use the schedules? What kind of scheduling differences would we need to look at? I think we need a coordinated strategy for that. And that's how I bring value for your tax dollars. Thanks.
Thank you, Matthew. Tom?
If elected, I would go through line by line the various programs and services provided to establish which priorities needed to be enhanced and perhaps reduce any that may not be as important at this time.
So that was question number 2. Are there any? Yes, we started at number 2. So Mark, why don't you, you were having a tough time with me tonight.
Thank you for letting me answer the question. Okay, everything I've heard tonight, yes, we need to cut services. I run my own business. Every department needs to be accountable. So what needs to happen? We need to dissect each department at City Hall. Everybody should, at the departments, there should be savings somewhere that they can find. Because I find when you go to City Hall, there's more it's top heavy, and less workers. So the management there, levels need to be refined. Also, what there needs to be is there needs to be an internal audit and outside experts to come in and make sure that the city is run properly. The other thing that needs to happen is roads and water and sewer need to communicate. Because just like you guys, I get tired of seeing Paris Street get dug up, repaved, and then, oh, by the way, we have to do water and sewer now. So I don't understand why water and sewer can't communicate with roads and maintenance. In addition, the contractors should be accountable as well. I know when I buy a vehicle, I go in, I buy the vehicle I want, there's a warranty with it. Why isn't there a warranty with our roads? I was told that talking to different people in the community,